Will the Golden State Warriors bring back the Boogeyman?
DeMarcus Cousins serving up a facial.
Cousins has 21. Their last two brought the house down.
After being shadow banned from the league, DeMarcus Cousins could potentially see his way back into the NBA. The question is, would the Warriors do it? Hey, what's happening, everyone? This is Swish Culture. The Warriors went dark at the trade market deadline. Despite having obvious issues with the positional depth, the only move they made was to get rid of a player with zero value on the market. It is obvious that this move was meant only as a temporary measure for salary, but could mean something big for the buyout market. Monty Poole of NBC Sports reported that after constantly hearing that the Warriors needed to add a big man, they might actually do it on this buyout market.
Corey Joseph left the team. That opens up an opportunity for the Warriors to fill that spot.
Every year, the Warriors get this question, oh, we can get a big man. This year, I'm told they're actually thinking about it.
What that means is Cousins might have a way back into the NBA. But he's not the only one on the short list of players available in this slot for the Golden State Warriors. Alongside Cousins, there are 4 other players the Warriors could seek. And if all else fails, there is a 6th option. More on if the Warriors make a change by the end of All-Star break. But before that, be sure to like the video and subscribe to Swish Culture for the most analytical and entertaining NBA content on the planet. So get ready. You're about to get
Bro, I just want to play basketball. I'm not caught up in any narratives. I want to play basketball. Like, I enjoy this game. I want to end my career, like, on a good note.
100%.
And hopefully I can ride off into the sunset.
A little over a year ago, DeMarcus Cousins had called up Bob Myers and asked the Golden State Warriors general manager why he was having such a hard time getting back into the league. This was how Bob Myers responded to Cousins.
DeMarcus called me a month ago, and he said, why am I not in the NBA? And I said, you want that answer? He's like, yeah. I said, because people are afraid of how you're going to act.
But that was over a year ago. Since then, there are at least 3 reasons why this might no longer apply. The first is that the Warriors have a roster spot to fill by the 22nd. The second is that the organization is looking to fill that spot with a dire need of size. And the third, Bob Myers is no longer the general manager. According to Monty Poole, there are a few options for Golden State, but those options aren't necessarily equal opportunities. He discusses them briefly, but I'll take it a few steps further on what each of these options means for the Warriors.
Hold on a bit there, buddy. Back up a little bit before you fall off the cliff. There's no way Golden State is adding a big man in the buyout market, no matter what the media says.
But I rest. This is Monty Poole we're talking. You don't get any more credible than a franchise beat writer.
Could be a French fry meat rider. I don't see it happening. Do you know how deep this problem is for the Warriors adding a player over 6'9"?
Are you saying that we should be starting Looney? Wait, why is there an elephant in the room?
Start Looney. You must be higher than me up here in outer space. Look, Steve Kerr isn't interested in getting size. He wants guys who can pass, not just finish. Guys who can make reads, not just run and dunk. Unless it's the official run and dunk. But you get the point. In a nutshell, players with a high level of basketball knowledge and IQ. But I'm getting another call, so let me get back to you on that.
Wait, what about the elephant in the room? The problem with adding size to the Warriors is as deep as the Mariana Trench. Steve Kerr is probably opposed to adding a big man for the sake of adding a big man. The problem is, any big man with the IQ it takes to break into this Warriors rotation is leading their team to the playoffs. Steve Kerr does not like pure athletes and doesn't think they can truly impact winning. See Jonathan Kuminga. So when evaluating these big men for Golden State, this is something we should take into account. The problem with that thinking is that all the IQ in the world does not replace the impact of tangible characteristics, and you'll see that later on in this video. A 7-footer giving effort on the offensive board, mixing it up is going to win 9 times out of 10 against a smaller, higher IQ player. This is something we see happen all the time, and it has been the single most obvious reason that the Warriors have ended up blowing leads in the fourth quarter. That means, as Monty Poole says, whomever they go with is likely just going to get spot minutes. The player obviously has to be agreeable to that, and they'd have to buy in defensively while also bringing size and experience. So with that being said, here is the short list of big men the Warriors are looking into right now. The first player is Thaddeus Young. Young is currently on an $8 million contract for this season with the Raptors, but since they're rebuilding, he doesn't fit their timeline and is a big buyout market candidate. At 35 years old and 6'9", however, I'm not even sure why the Warriors would do this considering they have TJD. But let's see what the Warriors could potentially use him for. On the plus side, he has quick feet, providing much more mobility at the 5 than Kevon Looney. He's averaging 2.2 assists this season in 15 minutes, so he's not a ball stopper and actually is a very good passer. He can put the ball down, drive, and finish strong at the basket, and if you need him to, he'll also take and make the occasional 3. At the same time, he has the ability to run the break thanks to his quickness. Young is also a lefty, and the Warriors just can't seem to get enough left-handed big men. On the negative side, while he does take threes, he doesn't make very many, connecting on only 17% of his attempts. He's also a very below-the-rim player. This means he's not going to be getting many blocks, and this also shows up in the box score. This also means that defensively, he's not going to help the Warriors down the stretch, considering what they need is a player that is aggressive on that end of the floor. 0.1 blocks per game for a big man is simply lethargic and essentially not present. Kevon Looney is without question a better defender who averages the same number of assists. So while you win with a playmaking big with high IQ, what's the point if he's not stopping the other team from scoring? My take is that there's too much overlap between him and Kevon Looney while not addressing the core issues with Golden State. The next player is someone Warrior fans are all too familiar with. Otto Porter Jr. was instrumental in the Warriors' 2022 championship run. Now he's playing for the Utah Jazz. Porter Jr. is currently on the second year of a 2-year, $12 million contract and becomes a free agent this summer. He was recently traded to the Jazz at the trade deadline. However, he currently serves no purpose on the team, even if he was healthy, since they're no longer competing for a playoff spot. That trade really was to give the Raptors a big man in Ochai Agbaji, and Porter Jr. was just filler. This makes him a candidate for buyout as the Jazz are looking to get some value out of the 30-year-old former NBA champion. He's listed as being injured, but a couple of weeks ago when asked, he said he was healthy, so who knows? Maybe he'll come off the bench for the right team? If the Warriors were to make an attempt to get OPJ back, he'd basically slot right into the same role that he did in the championship season. This would be a dream signing for Steve Kerr, a small ball 5 who rebounds well and also spaces the floor very well for a player of his size. For those of you who don't know, Porter Jr. is listed at 6'8" with a 7'1" wingspan while shooting 40% from 3. After leaving the Warriors at the end of the championship season, the Raptors signed him, but injuries derailed his progress with the team. His pluses are pretty obvious, being a veteran that brings you championship level experience, and despite what it seems, he's a player that knows how to win and makes hustle plays, makes winning plays, and does all these small things necessary. He's similar in that sense to Thaddeus Young, but gives you so much more on the floor. While he's 2 years older than when he played for the Warriors, he's still got plenty left in the tank as long as he can get a clean bill of health. The issues with OPJ are he wants to get a better contract, so expect a repeat of the championship season. If he does well, he'll get a better offer elsewhere. If he doesn't do well, then the Warriors probably have to let him go. He's also only played 15 games this season, and his numbers are down all across the board. While he might play up with Golden State, what the Warriors got from him was as good as it gets, and by the looks of it, he's not exactly the same player. It may be worth a shot if there are no other options, however, as he's ranked as one of the 40 best defenders in the league. The third player we'll cover is Robin Lopez. Lopez was recently waived by the Milwaukee Bucks prior to the deadline to send a message to Thanasis.
Look, I be riding through my old hood, but I'm in my new.
As they look to fit the best players around their two stars in Lillard and Giannis. Robin has always been, well, the Robin to his twin brother Brook, who's found a lot of success in Milwaukee. While Brook would be a dream addition to a team like the Warriors, Robin is just a little bit more Seth to Brook's Steph, a little more Jello to Brook's Mello, and just a bit much the Narcissus.
Attitude, but I'm on that news. They say they gon' ride me. See me never do nothing, cause they know that's the reason they gon'
to Brook's Giannis.
Oh, man.
Get my drift? The 35-year-old, who's listed at 7'1's best years came as a trailblazer, where he averaged 11 points and 8.5 rebounds in 32 minutes 10 years ago. So how long ago was 10 years? Couldn't have been that long ago, could it? Well, for starters, Tim Duncan won an NBA championship that year, and Stephen Curry was just a scrawny kid in a Warriors uniform. To be clear, that entire decade encapsulated the Warriors' rise from being a mediocre team to being a dynasty. So yeah, pretty long ago. Back then, the three-point shot wasn't a part of his game. That was the first year he attempted threes, and he didn't start making them until 4 years later with the Bulls. And he's been all over the place with his shooting percentage from distance ever since. That said, where Robin is effective is inside the paint, where he uses his size to his advantage, punishing teams with his hook shots. We see in this one particular matchup against the Warriors where he lived in the paint, and with a young James Wiseman, the Warriors stood no chance. While his brother is ranked as the 6th best defender across the league, Robin isn't ranked as he doesn't get nearly enough minutes to have a measurable impact. Despite his age, he may be a good pickup for spot minutes at the 5. If he could provide even half of what his brother does for the Bucks, it would be a significant upgrade for the Golden State Warriors. The 4th player that might be available could actually move the needle for the Warriors in the most significant way of any player I've mentioned so far. 6'11" Andre Drummond is a player I've talked about joining the Warriors before, but aside from the fact that his best years are past him, he's capable of coming off the bench for the Warriors and playing like a true big man. At only 30 years old, Drummond is already in his 12th year in the league, and his per 36 is still where it's been ever since he first became an All-Star his 4th year at 22 years old. Per 36 minutes, Drummond is pulling down almost 19 rebounds and dropping in over 17 points per game. He is still a massive lob threat as he seemingly hasn't lost any of his athleticism, has as many steals as he has turnovers, doesn't shoot threes, and doesn't foul too much either. Just his presence alone will provide a deterrent for the Warriors in those crucial moments when they're getting out-rebounded in the clutch by other teams who've taken advantage of the Warriors' size down the stretch. Teams have notoriously done their best to stay with the Warriors through 3 quarters, and as long as they're within 20 points this season, instead of throwing in the towel like they did 6 or 7 years ago, they battle back using their size advantage against Kerr's smaller guys. A strategic usage of a big man like Andre Drummond, who inhales rebounds at an astronomical rate, would be a night and day difference for the Warriors, giving up so many points in the paint during those tough stretches. The only problem with acquiring Drummond is the fact that he's currently signed with the Bulls for the rest of the season. The Bulls are also a very fickle team, as they either massively overrate their players or just don't follow through on player availability if they're not getting the inflated returns they're looking for. Since the deadline has already passed, there's no more value left, and they either keep him or try to save some cash. Drummond is currently in the 2nd year of a 2-year contract, and if the Bulls don't make a move, he's gone at the end of the season anyway. A buyout will give the Bulls some cap flexibility and save some money in a year the team is not competing. And finally, the last player on this list, DeMarcus Cousins. Just over a year ago, I made a video explaining the banning of DeMarcus Cousins from the NBA. While this wasn't an official league banning, the results were no different. Cousins' attitude was not sitting right with front offices across the league. In addition to that, he suffered a number of injuries that set him back from his All-Star days. He was a late addition to the Warriors roster in 2019 to help the Dubs chase a three-peat, but a quad injury within a minute of entering the game after having been out on an Achilles injury for the entire season gave the Warriors more reason than not to forego re-signing Cousins to another contract. His last season in the NBA came with the Nuggets, where he was a part of a second unit that would punish the Warriors and keep the Nuggets afloat when Jokic was resting on the bench. In a particular game versus the Houston Rockets that year, Cousins dropped 31 points in just 24 minutes, which was the lowest minutes he's ever taken to get to 30 points in his career, and the lowest minutes any Denver Nuggets player has ever played to get to 30 points. A franchise record. Following that year, Cousins was out of the league. Last year, he went on to play in Puerto Rico, where he averaged 20 points, 11 rebounds, and 4.5 assists in 25 minutes per game, shooting 44% from 3. He led the team to the semifinals, but was injured at the beginning of Game 6, and his team lost in Game 7. In December of 2023, he signed with the Taiwan Beer Leopards. This means Cousins is also readily available to play, healthy, and could impact the team competing in playoffs this season. While those numbers are clearly not translatable to the NBA, he seems to be healthy enough to participate in stints. I know he's dying to get back into the NBA, hence the reason you see him playing in overseas leagues to show he's still capable of playing at a high level. The consensus, however, as Monty Poole puts it, while Cousins isn't known for being a great defender, especially post-Achilles tear, he's a high IQ player that would fit in Steve Kerr's system. He knows how the system works and what would be required, and outside of the politics, seems like it would be worthwhile for the Warriors. If this team is willing to go after LeBron James, I'm not sure why they wouldn't give Cousins another shot. Let me know which one of these big men you think the Warriors should pull the trigger on. Should they go with Young for a high IQ undersized big man? I think we already have two. Or Porter Jr., an even more undersized big man, but one that's proven he can roll with the Warriors' small ball. Robin Lopez to try their luck, or Andre Drummond for a surefire kick in the pants. How about DeMarcus Cousins for a former All-Star who at 33 years is younger than the Warriors' veteran core and still projects as a high-level player? Post your thoughts in the comments below, but don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on all your notifications so you don't miss any of my latest uploads. Thanks for watching. Till next time. Swish.